And yes, we are live.
Awesome.
It's going to take a couple of minutes
Sure.
to send out the notifications. But let me go to YouTube real quick. There it is. Notifications going on real quick. you probably heard that in the background. What it is one of my channels, my Lincoln Clay channel, I sub to this channel from my Lincoln Clay channel. So whenever I go live, then I just get the notification so I can gauge how long it's going to take for notifications to go out. So
sure.
But a minute or two, and then we'll go through the propers, the introduction, all that stuff, and then we'll get into it. Let me pull up questions here.
Yep.
On my other channel, I used to have a show called the Lincoln Show, and actually that show was gaining some traction because at the time I probably only had about 200 subs, but I was interviewing YouTubers that had anywhere from 1 to 20,000 subs.
Oh dang.
Yeah, but a lot of it was done through connections, like I would one person I did an interview with on the Lincoln Show, he had about 25,000 subs at the time that I interviewed him, but it was done through a connection of another YouTube friend. So on my other channel, I did have a lot of help getting that channel off the ground. So, but this channel right here, whatever happens, it'll be 100% me.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
So I think another minute or two and we can get on with this. So yeah, I got about 10 questions off the top of my head, and yeah, I'm interested to see what you think about this. About 2.5 minutes, so about another 30 seconds. I'll go ahead and get on with the introductions.
Yeah, I've been looking at all the Black Friday deals that Oculus is running right now. They got some. I mean, it's like halfway decent. You see like 33% off some shit. A lot of the shit I hadn't bought already.
I have to be honest about that. Oculus is a little bit stingy when it comes to the sales.
Yeah.
They're not like Steam because.
I haven't even checked out Steam yet. Like,
well, you're not going to be able to, as far as the Quest standalone goes, you're not going to be able to play the Steam games unless you use the Quest link on a PC.
Yeah, I got the Quest link. It's not the Quest link cable; it was a cheap one. And then I got I built my PC on Black Friday last year, so mine's got like 64 gigs of RAM.
Whoa!
New processor. Graphics card's got like 8 gigs of RAM. It's not like the greatest graphics card, but it's not cheap either. So like it'll do what I need to do.
What you working with? What are you working with as far as the graphics card?
Oh man, I can't even. Let me see if I can see. Intel Radeon Sapphire. That's not even the PC I'm on right now. Right now I'm on a laptop, but Radeon Sapphire. Like I said, I think I have like, I want to say it's like a $200 graphics card. So it's not like anything that's like that great, but it's good enough to do most of the things I'd want to do with it. So I really got it for like 3D design and stuff like that. I work with Fusion 360 and do all that fun stuff. So.
This computer that I'm at right now, this is a bare bones computer. I did not buy this computer for gaming. I bought this computer probably about 10 years ago, strictly for backing up files. But I do have my gaming PC is an Alienware. But when you set up, if you set up your Steam account, and when you go to buy any game, Steam will list the minimum requirements and the recommended requirements. So you'll know if your PC will be able to play any of the games that you're thinking about buying.
I was thinking about getting Half-Life Alyx. I heard that was really good. So
yeah, but it's going to take Half-Life Alyx, give or take, is probably the best looking VR game out there. And it's going to take somewhat of a good PC to run it.
Sure.
So
yeah, I know my processor on this is really fucking solid too. I know it's like mostly graphics card, but like my processor should be all right. I put about, I think, like $1,000 into it, and it was built from parts. So it should be okay, but we'll see. It wasn't built specifically to do games. It was actually built as like a like for Fusion 360 and stuff that might be like more processor heavy, but it should be okay for games.
But it's funny when you get into gaming, and you want to expand your horizons. How just like that, it's like, okay, I need to upgrade. You want.
Oh yeah.
So I never built a PC before. I just when the time came for me to build a PC, I was just looking around, and the first PC that I bought was a CyberPower, which I guess was a decent PC, but I killed it. I don't know how it died, but the SSD in it died, so I took it back, got another one, and the second one died in the same manner as the first one. It died 2 weeks later. It died of the same cause. The SSD went out, but then
they can do some funny stuff with SSDs depending on the software you got. If it's and I'm no expert on this shit, but if it's doing a lot of read and writes, it shouldn't kill it in like 2 weeks. But
I ended up finding out what killed it, because what happened was the Alienware that I have right now, I killed that one, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? I went through 3 PCs. In the case of the Alienware, the graphics card went out, but it was under warranty, so the graphics card was replaced, because the graphics card at the time I think was about $600. It's got an RTX 2070 in it, and so I started doing research, and then it turns out I think the reason why I killed the PCs was because that taxes your computer when you game and stream from the same PC. And
so like overheating or something?
It made the PC work too hard. The workload was too much for it. So I ended up finding out, like watching videos, tech channels and stuff. It turned out that my computer just wasn't strong enough to stream and game from the same PC. So so I upgraded my processor. It had an i5 9600K in there, and I upgraded to a i7 9700K. But I think next year, I think I'm going to start building a new PC, and it's probably going to be
pretty easy to build them. Like, I mean, basically, if like you're looking for a motherboard, a graphics card, a processor, some RAM, power supply, and that's that, and your obviously your drive. If you go on like Newegg or something like that, like last Black Friday, I went on Newegg and I bought all my stuff, and they'll almost walk you through the process. So it's pretty dead simple to build stuff like that. I got everything, and I was fortunate. I threw it all together, and it worked the first time. So I can't.
Yeah, that's cool. I might be looking to put a 3090 in there. If you know about the graphics cards, NVIDIA just released their 3000 graphics cards. I think a couple of months ago, and you got 3070, 3080, and 3090. 3090, I believe, is 12, maybe $1,500. DJ, the Pumpkin Kid, welcome to the sit down. So got someone in here. So let me go ahead and let's get started. Get on with the introductions. Yo, everybody, what is good? It is the Godfather of VR, the Don Lincoln Clay, coming back at you with a live stream. And this is the first episode of the Sit Down with the Godfather. And I have called a sit down with a good friend of mine, Sckane. I will call him Kane for short. And he has been made into the VR community. Recently just picked up an Oculus Quest. So we want to welcome him to the VR family on behalf of the Corleones, the Bonaducci's, the Manucci's, the Cabanzis, the Barzinis. We want to welcome you to the family. Excuse me while I put away my weapon here. So welcome to the sit down.
Thank you.
So being that you're new to the community and just recently got a headset, the purpose of this sit down is to get your thoughts on your recent acquisition as far as the headset goes, what you think of it, what you like, and all that, that kind of stuff. So so getting started, get to the first question. How old were you when you first got into video games?
Oh, when I first got into video games, like five, 6.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been playing video games since Yeah, as long as I can remember.
Yeah, same here. I mean, I think I think the first video game console I ever had was, I believe, it was called a Telstar. I think we got that in 1977. You know, and I was about 10 years old at the time, so I'm quite old.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, we had the old tennis and handball where you had two white hashes that went up and down the screen and would send a white speck across the board. You know, and that was supposed to be tennis. But look where we're at now today. So that's amazing. So what about you? What kind of systems were you playing on?
I was playing like Super Nintendo, original Nintendo, more Super Nintendo. Super Nintendo was really, you know, it came out about the time I started playing video games. And then obviously like that transitioned into N64 and PlayStation. So I got a PS1. That was my first video game system. I got a PlayStation 2. And then I jumped ship to Xbox. So I got the Xbox 360 and the Xbox One. So,
okay. Excuse me while I kill that.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Continue.
Yeah. So, and I've been playing video games a little bit, you know, recently, and the VR, I enjoy that because like you're actually up and doing stuff. You know, sitting on a couch for like 5 or 6 hours, I always feel like, man, I haven't done much of anything. I try and stay like physically fit and whatnot. You know, there's something better I could be doing. So the VR like really helps out with that. At least I'm standing, moving around, looking around and stuff like that. So
okay. So before we get into the Quest stuff, when you jumped over to the Xbox, what drew you over to the Xbox?
Mostly it's just that like that's what my friends had. So for me, like it didn't, you know, like if my friends jumped ship to PS5 and most of the people I knew had a PS5 instead of Xbox Gen, whatever the heck it is, I would switch to that. You know, like it wasn't necessarily the hardware capabilities or exclusive titles or anything like that. It's really, you know, what other people are playing for me at least. So, you know, I enjoy the Xbox. There's some things about the Xbox One that I don't like quite as much. Like as a media player, if you try and play like VLC on an Xbox, it tends to have some issues. It just doesn't want to run like VLC will run on a computer. You run VLC on pretty much any computer, it'll try to run just about anything. It's a great media player, but you try and play that on an Xbox, it seems like they just weren't given the same tools and resources. Like it just doesn't work as well. So like gaming wise, I've got no complaints at all. But some of the other apps, in particular VLC, just don't seem to work quite as well. So
I got you. That's something that I'm totally unaware of because I don't even game on my Xbox anymore. I use it strictly to watch YouTube.
Yeah, I do a lot of that too.
Unfortunately, that's where Xbox is gone. I mean, as far as we all know the story with the Xbox, as far as their exclusives go, their exclusives are lackluster. So a lot of people, as far as pure gaming goes, it seems like the Xbox is probably at the bottom of their list. You know, a lot of people, when it comes to pure gaming, you know, play PC, PlayStation, and now VR.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but now that we're on to VR, so you recently picked up an Oculus Quest 2.
Yep.
When did you learn about the Oculus Quest 2?
I have been kind of watching videos for a little while. My dad actually mentioned it a couple times. We talk about like technology and stuff like that a lot. So he had mentioned it a few times, and I was like, I didn't really know a whole lot about it. So I was over there one day, and we just started watching videos of people playing the Oculus, and I looked up some of the best games and stuff like that. And I thought to myself, like, wow, that looks like a really cool experience. And the videos, like, the thing is, the videos really don't do the VR stuff justice. Like, comparing being in The Walking Dead or table tennis or whatever it is, like, it's just not even on the same level as watching a YouTube video of somebody playing that. So, I kind of had that in mind when I was thinking about getting one. And then finally I decided to get one, and I've never looked back. Like, I've got probably like 8 games on it now. I've been spending too much on that. But, I've enjoyed most of the stuff I played pretty well. So,
pretty cool. I've said this for the longest, that when it comes to video games, especially first-person shooter games, for instance, whatever your favorite first-person shooter is, when the next iteration of that game comes out, you would want the game to be more interactive and more immersive. And I think it doesn't get any more immersive than VR.
Absolutely.
To actually be inside of a first-person shooter game, to actually be there shooting at people, or ducking and trying not to get shot. So,
or survival horror, stuff like that.
Because there's definitely some games that, games like first-person shooter games, sim racing. I love sim racing. Those are the type of games that I think you absolutely have to play in VR. And not only that, with sim racers, I think you actually have an advantage playing sim racers in VR versus someone who plays it from a TV, because in the case of VR, you can look around and see the entire environment. So assuming you have a clear image, you can see what's coming way before you get there. Versus on a TV, you don't see a turn until you get there. So a lot of people that are good at sim racers, they are good because they practice the track day and night, and they know every corner of the track. Whereas in VR, you can get away with not knowing every inch of the track, being that you're able to look around and see the entire environment. So you'll be able to see a turn way over to your left, yards away, whereas on the TV, you wouldn't see it until you actually get to that corner. So VR does have its advantages over flat screen gaming. So, so what was it that piqued your interest about the Oculus Quest?
Basically, I kind of looked into some of the Oculus products because, like, the price point was right on them, versus some of these other headsets. I didn't do as much research into that, but I had heard a lot of good things about the Quest. I knew the price point was $300 to $400 for the Quest 2. And I thought about getting the Rift because I already had a computer that was capable of playing games fairly well. And basically, when I started looking into the Rift and realized they were about to phase that out, it seemed like it was just a better option to go with the Quest 2. Plus it's got its standalone games. If you want to play something, where you're not tied down by the cord, where you're going to spin around a whole bunch and, jump and move. And, with my luck, I would end up stepping on the cord and messing something up. So the Quest 2 is just, it seemed like the best device to get right now, especially at the price point. And, VR games, at least the ones on the Quest aren't that expensive. You spend like $20-$30. I think Thrill of the Fight was like 10, and I still play that all the time. So, yeah,
VR games are definitely cheaper than flat screen games. And as far as your choice to go with the Oculus Quest, that was definitely, in my opinion, a smarter move. You did your research and learning that the Oculus Rift S was going to be discontinued. So you definitely did your research. And not only that, through QuestLink, both standalone and through QuestLink, they have enabled the 90 hertz refresh rate. So you'll get 90. So now games can officially run at 90 frames per second. And let me stop for a second to respond to a comment. DJ, yes, this is well, let me ask you that. Is this your first VR experience?
Is this my first VR experience?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it's absolutely, like, the first time I put on that headset was the very first time I had even seen anything. I kind of hoped it would be cool. I watched a lot of videos of people playing, thought it was cool, and was like, all right, I'm gonna give this a shot. It's not like right now we got COVID going on, so basically you can't go into Best Buy, throw on the headset, and do that thing. They're worried about COVID, obviously. But this was like the very first time I'd even put on a headset. I looked around and my mind was just blown instantly. It's not, it seems very, very simplistic that, you know, you can look around in this environment and you're looking around it as if it's natural, but, you know, your brain will trick you into believing that that's real really, really quick, which is awesome. Like you feel like you're really in this environment, whatever the heck it is. And it's surprising how well that actually works. So it was a mind-blowing experience seeing that for the first time.
Okay. When it comes to VR, a lot of people have to be shown firsthand before they get on board with VR. You can talk about VR until you're blue in the face.
Yep.
And for someone who's not, when people are not really that interested in VR, you literally have to show them. Was that the case with you, or was it a situation where, like, I know I want to do this and I'm going to take the chance that it's going to be something good? Was it?
Yeah, it was absolutely like, because I had watched, like I said, I watched some of the videos of people playing, and I anticipated it being a lot better. Like I had played, all right, so I played the Wii, you know, when the Wii first came out. You know, and that, you know, was the first kind of almost VR type thing because you had the motion sensors and all that. But, you know, when you play actual VR, it's tracking your hand way more closely. And like, I do a little bit of programming and stuff like that on the side. And I was like, even if I didn't like playing the games and whatnot, like basically if I can like, you know, mess around with some of this stuff in Python and try and like, see how this motion tracking stuff goes together. You know, it'll be a fun tech toy to play with. So I'm like, no matter what, I'm not going to lose out. It'll either be a neat video gaming system and all that, or it'll be something that's cool to just play around with. But
yeah, there's a lot of different things you can do with the Quest. A lot of enterprise, a lot of enterprises are using VR too to hold meetings and stuff. So there's VR is much more than gaming.
Yep. Yeah.
So when you made a decision to get the Oculus Quest, were you aware of the Facebook login that was mandatory in getting one of these headsets, and did that make you a little bit apprehensive about getting a headset?
Absolutely. Yeah. So like I don't really like do Facebook. Like I'm not on Facebook. So I just made one specifically for this. And like, what I'll probably do is just go in and basically like shut down the visibility on that. You know, like for me, like I just don't really like doing the whole social media thing. If I'm going to talk to somebody, I prefer to, you know, talk to them in person, blah, blah, blah. And like, I'm not going to get into the whole philosophical argument of like why that is. But in any case, yeah, that I think for a lot of people is actually a bit of a turn off to the Oculus. And, you know, my best answer to that is to do what I did. And basically you just create a Facebook account, you know, like more or less shut it down or make it non-visible publicly, and proceed. So.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. I mean, I've been on Facebook probably about 10 years.
Yeah.
I had my stretches where I pretty much lived on Facebook, but in recent years, you know, I'm barely, you know, I'm pretty much non-existent on Facebook. And but as far as the Facebook login goes, I connected my Facebook account to my Oculus account probably about a year and a half ago, because with me being a YouTuber, I was finding that on the Oculus dashboard, I didn't have access to all the features because I didn't have a Facebook account connected to it. So I linked my Facebook account to it in order to have access to all the features. So when Facebook made it mandatory for new people to link a Facebook account to the Oculus headset, that didn't bother me, but I could understand people who had who was apprehensive about it and didn't care about it. So I totally understand.
Yep.
So did you find the Oculus Quest 2 overpriced? You know, a lot of people who Oculus set out to reach the mainstream with the Oculus Quest 2, and when you're trying to reach the mainstream, price is the number one issue.
Oh yeah.
That being said, being that you're new to VR, this is your new first headset. Did you find the Oculus Quest overpriced?
No, and I ended up getting the $400 version, which like basically I don't think I'll even have enough games to fill up the 256, but we'll kind of see in the next couple of years if they come out with some bigger games. I think that could change, but I think for like $300, you're talking like the same price point as like it's a little bit more than the Switch.
Exact same price. The Switch is $300.
Exact same price. Okay. Yeah. So and I've actually had people try and convince me to get the Switch, but I just thought this was a lot cooler. But basically, like I don't think the price point on it is really prohibitive at all, especially when you consider like there's some games that you can play on VR that like you're gonna play the crap out of a lot, especially like for certain types of things. So like if you're all right, I like doing like martial arts, I like hitting the bag. It's not always easy to find sparring partners, but Thrill of the Fight is a fairly good, boxing simulator, if you will. Obviously it's not the same thing, but in lieu of nothing, it's excellent. I know I'll get tons of playability out of that. Same thing with like 11. 11's a really good ping pong simulator. I'll get tons of play out of that. So like really when I look at it, I know I'm gonna get the same types of play time that I would on a video game system. And for me, this is just so much more immersive, and I also happen to have a PC that's like decent enough that I can run some of the VR games on it. So yeah, $300 for me. Well, I spent $400, but $300, I don't think that's too bad to spend on something like this. If you look at it like you're getting a video game system, which are really I suppose video game systems have branched out a little bit more in terms of being more entertainment systems overall. And VR really, really emphasizes that. I think you probably know a lot more than I do about some of the apps you can use to watch movies or productivity type apps where you're connected with your computer and all that stuff. So I think like as far as an investment, like $300 is pretty low. I don't know what the price points are on some of the other ones, but the price was right for me, most definitely.
Definitely. I think for $300, I don't think you can get a better deal than the Oculus Quest. We've got a question from the audience.
Sure.
This comes from our friend DJ the Pumpkin Patch Kid. He mentioned about his dad being interested in VR. What was his first thoughts? I think what he's trying to ask is, did your father try the headset and what did he think of it?
He actually just tried it earlier today. I don't know that he's, about to run out and go buy one, but he tried it and my stepmom tried it and they both just thought it was awesome. They really enjoyed it. I had them do the, like the first steps in Oculus Quest or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like that was an excellent, first steps like demo type thing. So, I had them do that and they were just floored by it. I think, and I can't say this enough, but this experience is really, really unreal. It's hard to put into words, but yeah, they rather enjoyed it. Yeah.
Yeah, that brings an unintended question to mind.
Sure.
So you definitely on board with the VR.
Yep.
And us hardcore VR people, like myself, we know that VR is amazing. And before the Oculus Quest came along, if we wanted people to experience VR, we had to ask them to come over to our place. And in my case, a lot of my family is not interested in VR. A lot of my friends are not interested in VR. So to try to get them to come over to try it was impossible. I had to, in some cases, I even had to lie to them. Like my brother, he's a car fanatic.
Sure.
Both myself and my brothers, we're all car fanatics.
Yep.
And so I thought, if I told my brother, come over and try VR, no, he's not going to do it. So I, like, hey, come hang out with me. And when he came over, I had him try GT Sport in VR on the PlayStation VR, and he took the headset off and he looked at me with this crazy look and said, "That's a little too real."
Nice.
But where I was going with this is that even if you can get, before the Quest came along, even if you could get people to come over to your place to try it out, it's kind of hard to convince them that they should spend $1,000 for a PC and then another $400 for a headset. Who has that kind of money laying around? But now that the Quest is around for $300, very affordable. Now it changed the game totally. And now, in terms of wanting to spread the word of VR, you can take the VR headset to your friends instead of asking them to come over. So, have you found yourself wanting to do that and take the headset over to your friend's house and say, "Hey, try this, try that"?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, it's just so easy. You set up your Guardian Zone or whatever, and you can just roll with it. It's something that's really lends itself to doing that. And I never had experience with the older VR stuff where you had like the towers and you had to set that up and whatever other issues folks may have run into with that. Especially nobody wants to carry their PC everywhere. But with the Oculus, it's like it's just really nice that it plays all its own games. I haven't even played anything that's PC VR just yet. I'm sure I will at some point. If I need to upgrade my PC a little bit, I'll do that too. But it's you can really run anywhere with it. It's an awesome device. And the thing is, the games and whatnot on the Oculus by itself don't look bad at all. They look pretty dang solid. It's still quite the experience without having the enhanced graphics capability that a PC is definitely going to lend to it.
I would totally agree. I think unless you run into games, unless you're interested in playing games like PC games like Half-Life Alyx or Lone Echo, games that take a lot of power to run those games, a lot of the games are going to look the same, like a game like Population 1. I really couldn't tell the difference between the PC version or the Quest version. So I just opted to play that game on the Quest because no wires, the freedom of movement.
Yep. So
we've got another comment here.
Sure.
It says, is it worth it to watch movies in a big screen experience anywhere? For me to answer that question, I don't really watch movies that much to begin with. But I guess when I want to see something on a big screen experience using my headset, I usually go into Oculus venues or where they have a variety of streams and videos playing, and you see it on a screen. It looks like it's 100 feet wide and 80 feet tall.
Yeah.
It looks massive, and you're watching it with live people. So, but I'm not really much of a movie person. I work, our work hours vary, as you know. Sometimes we're working 56 hours a week, sometimes 45. And I sleep a lot when I get out of work. So that doesn't leave a lot of leisure time. And I want to spend it playing games rather than watching a movie that it might end up being trash, because that'll be 2 hours of my life that I can't get back. So I'd just rather watch movies. I'd rather play games, but have you attempted to watch any kind of movies or anything through your headset?
I haven't just yet. And I watched like a YouTube video that was actually on some of the apps that folks were using to stream movies and whatnot. And I guess you can actually like take the movies and put them on your headset, which is really cool too, because obviously you can carry a bunch of your movies with you wherever. But yeah, so I haven't really messed around with that yet. I anticipate that it'd be a really cool experience. What was like the total resolution on the Quest 2? I can't recall offhand.
I believe it's 1928.
Okay. Yep. So yeah, they're gonna look fairly sharp and like a big screen. So I think all in all, it's definitely worth giving a shot. I don't know if like using the Oculus Link for that might help too, but yeah, I haven't tried it just yet, but it's something that I do anticipate giving a shot at some point, and it's probably going to be fairly sweet. I've got a projection.
I think there's a few options as far as watching movies and stuff. And Big Screen is one of the apps that's on both the Oculus Quest as well as PC, where you go into a room and whoever the host is, he can choose to stream whatever content he has in his PC. So if he has a movie in his PC, he can stream it into the Big Screen app, and you can sit in a virtual environment, in a virtual apartment with live people, and watch on a big screen whatever the host may decide to show. And I've seen a variety of things that people have streamed. They have gotten a hold of movies that are still in theaters. I've seen someone stream, what was that movie, Joker, while it was still in theaters. Some people have streamed some things that shouldn't be shown on public TV. So it's been a few things. I've seen a few things in big screen. But the big screen thing, watching movies or something like that's just one of those things where I won't watch a whole movie. I might just pop in just to see what people are doing and whatnot. But it's not something that I would use when it comes to watching movies, because the way I am right now, unless it's a Marvel movie, I'm probably not going to be much interested in it, because I grew up as a superhero nut. So all these Marvel movies that came out, something like that, I would definitely watch something like that, like the Black Panther movie in 3D or something like that through the Oculus headset. But moving on.
I think like 3D movies would be pretty sweet.
Yeah, somebody in the comments, who was it? Pumpkin DJ. V-Tiz, how's it going? He recommended Ready Player One 3D on a VR headset. So I've never seen that movie, but I've heard a lot about it.
Yep. That's
so. What kind of games have you been playing on the Quest?
Okay, so I've been playing a little bit of, like, I basically downloaded, like all the basic titles for it. I've been spending too much money on that stuff recently. Plus, I got that Black Friday deal. Anyway, so I've been playing 11 fairly frequently. I like ping pong, and that one's just really, really solid. It feels like real ping pong. It's really close. I've been playing a little bit of Onward, although to me that still runs a little bit clunky, and it runs clunky because I'm clunky with it. Like, if I had one of those like plastic rifles that I could, snap things into and kind of pop up with that might help.
Oh, you mean the gun stock?
Oh yeah, yep. And if I practiced, that probably also helped. But that was still really cool. So Population 1, that was another one that, like, I haven't played a ton of it, but it looks really, really sharp. And it's just, like, it's a lot of fun. I've gotten some kills on it. Fortunately, the teams I played with weren't, all 12-year-olds. So,
so you're already aware of the kids all over the place on the Quest.
Yeah, there's a lot of kids on the Quest. But it is what it is. Everybody likes to play video games. Sometimes kids ain't that bad to play with.
Actually, a game like Population 1, I think if you hook up with one of like, my son's 14 years old, and when it comes to these first-person shooter games in VR, my son is an assassin.
Oh yeah, those kids will waste motherfuckers.
Yeah. They will.
Motherfucker. They ain't got shit on you. They don't have to.
These kids can be a help. Also, Echo VR, if you run into like the 15-year-old kids, they're pretty good at that too.
Oh yeah, yep. I don't doubt that. They ain't gotta go to work.
No doubt. Moving on. So I got about 3 or 4 more questions left. Which I know what the answers to this is going to be, but I'll go ahead and answer it anyway. So did the Quest live up to your expectations, and would you recommend it to anyone?
Absolutely. I'd recommend it to everybody. I've been, like, when I first got it, I would call people and or send them texts that was like, I got a VR headset. They're the shit, buy one. So basically I would recommend them to everybody. The price is right now. The experience, I can't emphasize this enough, is just unparalleled to anything else. Like, it's almost, you see a lot of people when they first try these things, like they'll take off the headset and they're all, like, looking at real life after that, like, almost spooks you. So it's just, it's amazing. It's immersive. Right now is a really, really good time to get into it. So, I can't recommend them highly enough.
I totally agree. And I can only imagine how many headsets they would have sold if they didn't make it mandatory for the Facebook login. But despite the login, Mark Zuckerberg did say that they did 5 times the pre-orders that they did of the original Quest. So despite the Facebook login, it's still doing pretty good.
Well, when I went to buy mine, I went to Best Buy first, and Best Buy didn't have any left. And they're like, you could try again in a few days or something like that. So I ran across to Target, and Target was like, yeah, we got the more expensive 256 gig one. We don't have the other one. And I was like, all right, just give me the 256. I don't think the extra memory is going to hurt. But they seem to be sold out a lot of places. So, and that may still be the case. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. I plan to talk about that in one of my future podcasts, because I think you having to buy, I think it's possible that you having to buy the 256 gig Quest was by design.
Could be. I wouldn't be shocked.
So because I have made an observation, because I've gone around over the past few days, I've had to run some errands and pay some bills and stuff. And some of the places that I went, I've made some observations with the Oculus Quest as well as the PlayStation VR. And I plan to have a podcast tomorrow to talk about that. And so, what games would you be interested in that you don't have yet? And
okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so a lot of that's like the PC VR games. So I've like pretty much combed through like the Oculus titles like completely at this point. Like, I've seen most of the stuff that's there, at least as far as I'm aware. It could be, unless there's like just a gold mine of more titles somewhere. I think I've seen most of those. But like the PC VR stuff on like Steam and whatnot, like I haven't been on Steam in years. So I'm really excited to see what's going on there. I want to play like Half-Life Alyx. If I have to update my graphics card, I'll do that. Otherwise, I know like my processor's good for it, my RAM is good for it, my motherboard should be okay. Like all that stuff should be all right. But yeah. So some of the more intense PC VR stuff. But I'm excited to see the other games that come out just on the Quest as well. They may not look quite as sharp, but they all play really fun. So
yeah, I have to say that as far as upcoming games on the Oculus Quest, I think the Star Wars game that just came out a few days ago was probably the last game that was on my radar. There's still some VR games that's on my radar, but they're PC VR games. I think with the next major title that's coming up that's on my radar would be Medal of Honor. That's going to be on PC VR. And because, given how long you played video games, I'm sure you know that Medal of Honor
the original
was the game before Call of Duty knocked it off the stool.
Oh, yeah. I remember the Medal of Honor on the PS1. That was the bomb.
So to be able to play this in VR and, I was nitpicking that game a little bit when I first saw it.
Sure.
The graphics and stuff, because there were some parts where I thought the graphics needed a little bit of polish, but for the most part, from what I've seen, gameplay and trailers and stuff, the game looks pretty good. And I think this is going to be an amazing experience to see what it was like during the Second World War, to have to storm those beaches with, shells being lobbed at you, explosions everywhere, people getting shot everywhere. To be able to experience this in VR I think is going to be amazing. There are some experiences out there on PC VR right now. I think there's an experience in VR on I tried it on Oculus. I think it was called Berlin or something like that.
Okay.
And basically, what it is you're riding in a bomber over, basically over a war zone. Shells are flying everywhere, and you're on a bombing run. So to look out the window of that plane at night and see the sky light up, with weapons being fired everywhere was crazy. I'm like, how can somebody fly over this and not get hit? So
a lot of them didn't. Or a lot of them didn't.
You know what? There are some games coming to the Quest that I totally forgot to mention. They mentioned it in the comments. The viewers just mentioned it. I think Sniper Elite is coming to the Oculus Quest. And Assassin's Creed as well as Splinter Cell is going to be coming to the Quest.
Oh man, both of those would be pretty dope. I haven't played much Assassin's Creed, but Splinter Cell was awesome. I know they got like Ops or whatever right now. I ain't tried that.
So it looks like you're getting on VR at the right time. So by the time those games come out, you'll be very, very familiar with VR. So
absolutely.
What, as far as the headset itself, what kind of improvements would you like to see?
As far as like hardware wise,
is there anything that you're experiencing where you feel like, hey, they should do this? This would make the experience better.
It tends to get goofy on me sometimes if I leave it like sitting face down or something like that and forget to turn the thing off. Like occasionally it gets upset with me and I gotta turn it off, turn it back on. That's about like the only like improvement I can think of offhand. There's like obviously they could always improve on tracking, but tracking is really, really good in it in the first place. Like if there's not too much more they can, I mean, yeah, they could do some other stuff. I'd like to see like give me like a second because there's a few things I want to add to this. If you could like throw kicks and whatnot, honestly, like kickboxing. Obviously right now you got the 2 hand controllers. If you could like port in other controllers, which I don't know, can you in some experiences?
You can, with the Oculus Quest, you can Bluetooth an Xbox controller to the headset, although I've never tried it before. Okay. And as far as throwing kicks, I know what you mean about that. You talk full body tracking. It is possible in VR right now, but not exactly possible with the Quest. With PC VR, my son explained it to me. The Kinect camera, I think from the Xbox 360, you can use that and connect it to your PC for full body tracking. So you will be able to throw kicks in VR and that sort of thing. The question is, what game would you be able to use it on? From what my son is telling me, people are using full body tracking in VR chat. Okay. So it is out there, but I get what you mean. It hasn't come to the Quest yet. I don't know if full body tracking will ever come to the Quest, but I can see facial tracking eventually, maybe coming to the next iteration of the Oculus Quest because there's already some headsets out there from independent companies, or at least they claim that it's going to have facial tracking. So it's social experiences. You can actually see when somebody's getting upset with you by their facial reaction.
Holy shit.
But even right now,
that's a little too real.
Well, even right now with Oculus venues, when you interact with people in there, they can let you know whether they're upset or not. Because if they give you a thumbs up, their avatar will smile, and if they're not happy with you and they give you a thumbs down, their avatar will get upset with you. It will make a less than happy face.
Nice.
So, I think I got about one more question, and it's really a simple one. And do you use your Quest casually, or do you every time you jump on there, you run the battery dead?
Oh yeah, I run that battery dead all the time. So and what I do is I've been using it hardcore, but so I'll not have a battery attached if I'm playing Thrill of the Fight because I don't want to catch that cord and rip it. So if I'm doing something that's intensive, I try and not have a battery attached to it. If I'm playing like Walking Dead, then I'm not really worried about it. I'll have the battery attached, and I'll run this thing for like several hours. So I've been playing fairly hardcore, but there's some days, like you were talking about, I'll get out of work and just feel like, I don't even. I'll watch TV for like a quick minute and maybe jump on VR for like a couple hours. But I've had my headset for a couple of weeks now, and I've been going hardcore with it, like basically, and I anticipate continuing with that for a while. I'd like to get into some of the developer type stuff and kind of see just what I can mess around with. I've messed around with some programming languages, so maybe I can figure some cool stuff out. But I'm hardcore with it. At least
currently there's side quest out there where developers is working on games, but the games haven't been approved by Oculus yet. They can put it on side quest, and so a lot of these games are free because the devs want the exposure. Some of them they don't ask for money, but they'll put it out there that you can donate to the cause. But I don't know how long side quest is going to last because there is the latest thing that's been going around. Hey, thanks, Gaming Legends. Thanks for popping in. So lately, there's been some stuff going around about Oculus kind of coming up with their own version of a side quest to kind of eliminate side quests. But still, just throwing that out there that if you are into any kind of gaming development or something, that's something to think about. But I think one more question that I want to ask you, and this question wasn't scripted, but you played Thrill of the Fight, and at work you've talked to me about MMA and martial arts and other forms of combat. For cardio, it's a way to keep in shape and keep your cardio up. So when you tried Thrill of the Fight, did you wake up sore the next day or the day after?
Oh yeah. So a lot of times, like what I was doing before that was like I'd be hitting the bag. Now, when you hit a heavy bag, you don't have to pull your arm back really. I mean, you do, but the heavy bag is stopping most of that force. When you're snapping out punches and pulling them back and effectively like missing all the time, like then, you're working a lot of these like back muscles and whatnot. So like as far as like the actual workout that I was getting, I was actually, it was almost better, than what I was used to, because I was used to just cranking it. I've got like weighted gloves and whatnot. So in a typical like warm up, punching round, I'm throwing like 800 punches with 10-second spaces between like sets of 30. And like, I thought that was a really, decent workout. And when I did the stuff on the quest, like basically, it's just different. So because you have to pull your arms back, you're using a little bit more energy. And I found like, after a couple rounds or so, like I would be winded. So I think it's like, and at first I was a little bit apprehensive too about just how well VR would translate into that and how well it would track and things like that. And yes, there are some issues with that. It's not perfect, but as far as like, it can basically supplement a sparring partner to an extent. Obviously it's not a real person. You're not really getting hit. But I found like, as far as that being a workout, it was hitting a bunch of muscle groups I wasn't used to, simply because there wasn't a heavy bag stopping my punches and I was throwing them like I meant it. So
not only that, a heavy bag doesn't hit back, even if it's in virtual reality.
Yep.
So even though you're not actually feeling the punches, the punches are being thrown at you, so you have to move to try to avoid being hit. So that aspect, yes, it does force you to use a lot of muscles that don't normally get worked out. So I think Thrill of the Fight makes you have an appreciation for real boxers, for the training regimen that they go through, the punishment that they take for 12 rounds, and having to stay sharp for 12 rounds, because all it takes is one lapse of concentration for a split second and your night could be over.
Oh yeah, and they thrill of the fight. Like if I got a lot of energy, I haven't played in a couple of days, I haven't been hitting the bags and kind of just like resting my muscles. You know, I can go in there and put them in a corner for, you know, all 4 rounds or whatever that. But like as soon as you start backing off, they're coming in. I remember one of my sparring partners like came over and I was like, dude, try this shit. So he puts the headset on. He was like, all right, what do I do? And I told him, you know, just hit the fight thing. And he gets in there with the sparring partner or whatever. And like the sparring partner goes in, he ducks, the headset flies off of him. I was like, oh shit. But yeah, they're really coming in at you. So like you gotta, like I tend to I like fighting the outside. So like I'm out there, you know, throwing constant jabs. If he's coming in, I'm throwing a jab. If I can kick, I'm throwing kicks. But you know, it really forces you to use those skills. If you're fighting the inside, you know, you get inside, you can clinch up with them, and you know, you have to think through your combinations and whatnot, and watch where they're leaving off guard. So you might throw, you know, a couple of left hooks or whatever, and you're watching how he reacts to that. And then, you know, all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, he's lifting up this arm, so I'm gonna go low with that second one, and boom. So it really, you know, it's not the same as real fighting. You're not getting hit. It's not as intense. Like real fighting is pretty awesome, but it's pretty cool in and of itself.
It is, and the game is really deceptive because I found out the hard way that one of the fights that I had on Thrill of the Fight, by the second round, I had my opponent cut over the eye. Yep. So I tried to move in for the kill, and he wouldn't go down, and I gassed. I was tired out, and now I can barely keep my hands up. And then the opponent exploded on me and knocked me out. Mm-hmm. So that taught me a lesson that just because you see blood doesn't mean you move in for the kill. Stick to your game plan, as the saying goes. You know, stick with the girl you brought to the prom. So if your plan was to pace yourself, stay with that. You know, and don't force the knockout. Let it come. So, you know, Thrill of the Fight definitely taught me some hard lessons.
Absolutely. And you can like go in there and it's very picky about where exactly you hit people. And like, I'll look at it and like, I've had ones where like they were like scarred up on their face and stuff like that. And I was like going in. These are days where I was a lot more rested up in that first round. And I was just like, knock him out. So like I'm throwing all kinds of punches and shit like that, getting him to drop his guard, putting those punches in. And that still ain't necessarily going to knock him out. They want like very, very, it wants you to play a certain way almost, which isn't necessarily even unrealistic. It wants you to hit very specific points though. Like when you go to hit the dummy or whatever, that's what you've got to pay attention to. Like some people really, really get into this game and break it down and whatnot. But yeah, it wants, you know, specifically right here, like it wants you to do very specific shots. So you could sit there all day, cut them up and whatnot, and you still ain't necessarily going to knock them out, and they can still take you down. So that it makes it a lot more fun. I think it keeps the stakes up.
Definitely, without question. So we are approaching the 1 hour mark. So this definitely went a little longer than I anticipated, but it was great. That being said, I think it's about time to go ahead and wrap it up. I've got some games that I want to catch up on myself tonight and get back to my sim racing.
Yeah, I got to check out some Black Friday deals.
Yeah, so for those who would happen to catch the playback of this, I want to remind everybody that I will be doing a podcast tomorrow from this channel as I talk about whether I believe Oculus is holding back stock of the 64 gig Quest, as well as some observations that I've made about the PlayStation VR. So you definitely want to tune in and check that out. I don't have a specific time that I'm going to do it, but just make sure you keep your alerts on. So whenever I go live, you'll get the notifications. With that being said, Kane, I definitely want to thank you for joining me. And I definitely want to ask you to come back, over time as you get some more games under your belt, as you go out there and explore some of the other things that VR has to offer.
Most definitely, man. Most definitely. Yeah, this was a lot of fun, man. I really enjoyed talking to you.
No doubt. I definitely appreciate it. And I will see you at work Tuesday.
Awesome.
I'm off Monday.
All right. Sounds good, man. I'll see you then.
All right. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Make sure you catch us tomorrow. Catch me tomorrow. And that's going to wrap it up for us. And we're out of here. Everybody have a good night. We'll see you.